Hi, another long while has passed. This time my excuses are Christmas and New Year's, and also I am working to finish my new Fernando tune. Recall that a smelly protester has just accosted Fernando and asked him to sign a petition to keep the walruses out of the walrus pit, and Fernando has just snapped a punch at Gooseman for eating a goat kid. This first one I'm going to read is from a Bopfred. Gooseman poked the stranger with his de-neveling stick. Not now, Neville. Get your platonic walrus-hugging filth out of here. Fernando, struck by Neville's sour musk, was lost in thought. Then he gripped Gooseman's shoulder, speaking with urgency. If the walruses aren't in the pit, and they aren't in the natural habitat of Walrus Grove, then where are they being kept, and who? Fernando was interrupted by the sensuous caterwauling of walruses being ridden into battle. I like the de-neveling stick, this one is well written. And the next one is from Firestorm, who also writes well. Gooseman scowled, his aviators reflecting a shine from the sun. He spoke with the careful malice and barely subdued rage of a man who had truly lost what was most important to him. Fuck off, Jeffrey. Take your hippie bullshit to the farmer's market. This next one is from Modelian. Fernando was perplexed as to whether just politely reject this fetid heretic or to tell him to bugger off and get his own stall, to try satisfy Gooseman despite his implicit goat abuse. Suddenly, a poison-tipped arrow shot like a hunter's dart from the bushes, impaling the unwaxed side of the protester's semi-bloated torso. Fernando reflexively slid under the table, knocking Gooseman off his feet into an unintentionally erotic defensive position. I like this one a lot, particularly the action at the end. It would have been fun to draw, but I went in another direction for reasons I will explain. This next one is from Rondomi or Rondome 18. Gooseman attempted to splash the vile contents of his bucket towards Fernando and the protester. While Fernando's toned form easily evaded the disgusting sludge, the slightly less disgusting protester was not as nimble. As the protester shrieked in horror, his own repulsive scent melded with the grease. The noxious aroma wafted throughout the rest of Fetish Fest. I think the way this one uses the bucket is really good. It works as a low-impact defense mechanism against opponents of Gooseman's petition. From Skakoan's Scarecrow. No thanks, Greasy Hippie, Fernando told the man known as Greasy Hippie. But I have long-standing fear of petitions from my days working the circuit. This, while true, was not the reason for his reluctance to sign, as there was work to be done. Besides, Gooseman is about to knock you out with his chair. I love the Greasy Hippie joke, and also Fernando politely lying about why he doesn't want to sign. It's a good time to play the story so far. What with the big breaks we've been having, let's see the pages all together. The last two pages, which you haven't seen, are by Riccardo Catindig-Stagg and CoverEye. It was really close. The other contributions were very good. I went with these, particularly the second one, because we now have our villains. We can still introduce new elements and characters, but if your idea takes you off in a completely different direction, I probably won't go with it. I'm going to try and keep one eye on winding our way to the end of the story. We're up to page 16 now, so that's very, very good. And a quick note, I forgot the name of the villains as I was drawing the page and decided one should be a woman. I realized all the names are male and one of them should look like a pastor, so that's my mistake. Let's call the woman Pastor Peach for now, but can I please get some suggestions for a new name? Okay, here we go. Fernando gazed upon the glistening tourists frolicking on the white sands of Pleasure Island's main beach. Their carefree joy grated against the turmoil that surged like a swollen storm inside of him. Then came Apricot, a large man who had a fetish for ripping human hearts out of those he hates. Yes, this is getting me so wet, he yelled as everyone ran, screaming in terror. Everyone, aside from Fernando. To the surprise of Apricot, Fernando dove into the ankle-deep surf, beaching himself like a newborn dolphin. Taking advantage of the momentary pause, Fernando scooped up a handful of small shore crabs and tossed them at Apricot's exposed nipples. The crabs began violently pinching the fiend's sunburned teats. Apricot howled in agony and pondered why he had left his overly sensitive nipples exposed to the harsh eroticisms of Pleasure Island. Fernando shot across the sand like a greasy, slightly chafed torpedo. He clutched Apricot's meaty gut in a vice grip. Well, well, how long has it been, apricot? You know I can kill you with one small thrust of my masculine hips. Fernando! Squealed a panicked, flailing apricot like an elephant seal with its scrotum caught between the jaws of a turtle. Fernando leaned in close, brushing his oily whiskers against apricot's ear, filling his cochlea with masculine insinuations. Yes, old friend, you have fallen to the darkest side of pleasure and lost the manwhore way. Fernando's sweet whispers sent apricot into a hallucinogenic trance. No manwhore could ever resist this ancient spell, Fernando said as apricot squirmed and drooled a foamy substance. Fernando's eyes widened as he recognized the symbol on the back of a business card protruding from apricot's suit. He plucked it free, allowing the rotund ravisher to fall flat on his face. The grapefruit black market, the dark cabal of juicers who rose in rebellion against the cruel yet fair leadership of Pleasure Island. Where did you find this? Fernando demanded. But alas, poor apricot was as his namesake, mindless. The sky darkened and all of a sudden the conveniently placed banana-shaped payphone began to ring. Fernando hesitantly picked it up. Slowly, he brought the phallic device to his ear. All that could be heard was erotic moans. Then, suddenly, silence, followed by an unforgettable voice. We're back! This is a queer banana, said Fernando as he forcefully peeled the fruit. Its nutrients messily licked off his tongue and onto his beard. Fernando hurled what remained at the ground, but it was on a cord, so it went nowhere. His ass was also in a cold sweat. Those fruit fiends must be planning to attack Fetish Fest, the most sacred of all Pleasure Island holidays. I must hurry to the main plaza. But first... Fernando buried the lummox apricot up to his neck in the warm beach sand, surely leading to unbelievable chafing. Fernando arrived at the main plaza, seeing the various stalls being set up for the evening. He spied a stall bearing a sign, Walrus Pit Restoration Society. It was Gooseman's project after the pit was closed. Someone had to fight for the walruses, even if they did cause the crushing deaths of several tourists. Gooseman's gaze pierced the manwhore as he approached. Reaching down into the stall, he pulled out a bucket of grease and dipped his hand without breaking eye contact. Fernando, it's a good thing you're here. I need you to slather yourself with this foul-smelling liquid and use that body of yours to round up some patrons. Before a reply could be given, Gooseman pressed his slimy finger upon Fernando's tender lips. It's for the walruses, he said. Fernando's eyes of passion blazed with anger. Gooseman bent backwards to avoid Fernando's swinging fist coming towards him. I told you I didn't know what cabrito was when I ordered it, he snapped. Cabrito is Spanish and Portuguese for roast goat kid. Gooseman had known exactly what it was, and Fernando knew it. Suddenly, a very smelly protester approached them. Hey you with the suave beard, will you sign my petition? These walruses deserve to be greased and pleasured in their natural habitat, not some dirty sex pit operated by a man with multiple felonies. It's a good thing your reflexes are still sharp, my friend, said Fernando in an assured and sultry tone. He then slapped the protester with the back of his hand in a way only a long-time harpoon-wielding manwhore could, both firm and authoritative. But it still made you feel safe, because a leathery hell awaits us. Suddenly, Fernando's nostrils were penetrated by a sour, sweet smell. Fernando felt an insatiable desire for fresh, juicy fruit as people around him started to faint from the intense desire. Of course, you would be able to endure my formula. Fernando looked atop of the stand as three figures looked down on him. They were Cherry Boy, Pastor Peach, and their infamous leader, Big Plums. Thanks for watching and writing, everyone. Please keep doing so. This is still going. What happens next?